What's good, family? So mash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. So, as you might have seen by the title, an insider has spoken out in the last few hours and alleged Anthony Joshua had torn ligaments and tendons in his elbow, I assume, or his shoulder, I guess, but mainly elbow I'm hearing. And that's why he couldn't throw the right hand. Now, listen, what we know is he was throwing the right hand. It was just super duper slow. And that's what a few AJ super fans have been saying. Oh, YB, I had one done. YB, you need to let up off him. He was injured. Come on, man. If he was injured, yeah, why was he gassing the thing up 24 hours before? Yeah, I'm going for the KO. I'm going for Kronk. Why do that to your fans? That don't make no sense. If you know you ain't doing no KO, just be quiet. And especially when AJ, he don't talk much anyway. So why would he go out of his way to gas the thing up if he knows he's injured? Unless he's Muktapa 2.0. That's the only thing that's going on here. Maybe AJ just turned to Muktapa. They want to gas the thing up, sell pay-per-views, bring people into William Hill and get bumped. That's what it's looking like right now. Because we didn't see no Kronk. We didn't see no KO. Not even a little bit of KO or Kronk energy did we see. Yeah? So, it's one of the two. And this whole... So, his arm... Nothing wrong with his arm. Yeah, he was tensing his biceps after the fight. His jab was slow. It wouldn't be so bad, yeah. I've seen people literally battle on with one arm. Fundamentally. But Danny Williams, one arm. I think it was Danny Williams. The other dude, George Groves, one arm. So, for me, don't work. Don't really cut it for me. And if AJ's jab was pumping, yeah, and his right hand was frigid, so be it. For me, like I said, I've seen George Groves literally battling through. I've seen Danny Williams battling through. The issue for me wasn't the loss, people. It was the manner of the loss. If he had one arm, I don't care if he had no arms. If he had no arms, yeah, and I saw him in there just nuzzling in. Do you know what I'm saying? I saw him in there nuzzling in, just trying to work with no arms. I'd say, man, listen, he was down bad, but at least he was in there trying to do something, using his shoulders or something. You know what I'm saying? Just getting grimy with it. I've never had a problem with losing. That is genuinely sport. When we hear these people, when we hear Anthony Mandela talk about, it's sport. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. When we hear Anthony Gandhi talk about, yeah, you win some, you lose some. Yeah, you win some, you lose some when you put all your effort in and you go all in. You try your best. And you know what I mean? You use some balls. That's when you say you win some, you lose some. And that's why I refuse. People keep saying, YB, you need to give Usyk full credit. Well, I struggle to do that because... Now, it's not Usyk's fault. Of course, he won the fight. No doubt about that. I was the first man to say he won the fight. Even though part of me, because of financial reasons, I was hoping that Eddie Hearn would rob him. But from boxing's point of view, not being selfish, from boxing's point of view, I was the first man to say AJ won maybe 3 rounds. And even then, he didn't really win the 3 rounds. They were default rounds where Usyk backed off, truth be known. But anyway, my point was, listen, Anthony Gandhi, yeah? Anthony Gandhi talking about, sometimes you win some, you lose some. Sometimes you win some, you lose some, is when you go all in. Not even all in. Give us 80%. We can work with that. Bare bones 80%. That's when I can give Usyk credit. Now, like I said, it's not Usyk's fault AJ give us 0%, but I can't sit here and say he's the best cruiserweight ever, he's the best heavyweight ever, he's the best ever, until I've seen him go in there with someone, even if it's not AJ, even if in the rematch, yeah, AJ still turns up for the gravy train and don't want to get his nuts out, which is a possibility, people here. I mean, if he doesn't change his team and he don't make no changes, then probably going to get the same result, which we've been getting for the last 3 years, which if you've been following my channel, you know that already. It's not a big... This for a lot of channels, all of a sudden you hear people saying, this, that, the other. We've been saying this for 2 years. Fell on deaf ears. YB, you want to see AJ get knocked out. No, I want to see some passion. But anyway, what I was saying was, if a man don't turn up, for example, if I need to see like when Usyk went in there, yeah, with Chisora. Chisora don't have the best base as such. Don't have the best skills. What he did have in that fight, he was probably going. He didn't leave it all out there. For example, Chisora versus Dillian White 2. That's a fight I'd say Chisora left it all out there. 100%. The Usyk fight, I'd say he probably left 60% out there. My point is, especially at heavyweight, for smaller men, how much effort you're putting in, how much willpower you're putting in is critical, if that makes sense. If you've got a man, how many times have we seen people turn up here and not be bothered and just fall over? That's the extreme. AJ didn't do that, but I'm saying there's levels to it, of course. Turning up and just flopping on the floor, Malik Scott style, that's the absolute bottom. But there's, of course, a scale to it. Chisora versus Dillian White 2, that would be one of the best heart performances as such. AJ, he was in the bottom quartile. He was in the bottom, he was in the bottom 20% of them kind of performances. AJ was closer to Malik Scott than he was Chisora versus White. Or Chisora versus White. Yeah, both of them fights, to be fair. Chisora versus White 1 and Chisora versus White 2. Both men really gave it a good innings. And the fact that Chisora performed better than AJ shows you how important heart really is. Heart and effort. And putting effort in. When a bigger man puts effort in, it's a hard night to work for smaller men. Now, I'm not going to lie, Usyk, in my opinion, definitely did bring his A game. He stepped his game up. I do actually think it's a possibility now that he was playing possum. Truth be known. That is a possibility. So I put my hands up. I didn't see that, but whatever. But then again, like I said, it's too many variables now. I want to see Usyk go in there, yeah, with a heavyweight giving 80%. A good heavyweight. Yeah, we know Chisora was given 60-70%, but he had a top-level heavyweight, which is my point. But like I said, it's not Usyk's fault that AJ gave 10%. But that's going to be the... I will sit there and give Usyk all of his flowers when he performs like that against a top heavyweight who's giving it some. That's when you test someone's greatness. You can't test someone's greatness against someone who ain't really turning up. That's not fair on the sport. That's not fair on history. I can't give Usyk the flowers of the greatest ever. That essentially... You can't give someone the greatest performance ever if they haven't done it in similar circumstances. Holyfield and Lennox and them, man, they did it against people giving 80, 90, 100%. So to give Usyk all these flowers, going in there with someone who don't really want to be there, nah, that can't work. Again, not his fault. But even if it's not AJ, even if he fights Dillian White or Tyson Fury or someone, Joe Joyce, I think that would be an interesting fight. Joe Joyce sounds like he wants that as well. Joe Joyce has proven he can go in there with Dubois, get teed off on a bit, and come back. These kind of guys, go in there and do that against people turning up. And who knows, maybe AJ going to turn up. Maybe AJ going to, if I said it before, if AJ turns up 80%, 70%, and Usyk schools him, he's going to get mad ratings in my opinion. I mean, if I see AJ giving 100%, and he's just looking, let's say for example AJ went to Shane McGuigan and in 6 months he just turns into the best AJ we've ever seen. If I said it before the fight. If Usyk beats the best AJ, he will be probably one of the best fighters of all time. If that makes sense. If AJ's going in there, yeah, elbows in, chin down, driving forward, Dillian White style performance, that kind of venom, then he's going to get mad ratings for me. But seeing AJ standing there mid-range, getting popped in his head and not doing much back, well, it wouldn't be prudent to the greats of history to sit there and put him on that pedestal against the flaccid Don. That was a flaccid performance. He was floppy. Yeah, told you before. This whole Anthony Mandela thing, Anthony Gandhi. Yeah, it's played out now. I'm over it. I'm not gonna lie. I was polite before. I was polite. Yeah, I've been the first one, but now I look bad. Now we must give the names. Because I've been sitting here rinsing people. Oh, Alexander, you sucks. I've been doing that on your behalf as such. Now, AJ didn't ask me to do that, but the point is, that was my belief. I thought, AJ is going to make this dude look like he sucks. So, the same way I dish names out, Anthony Gandhi is fair in my opinion. Because you'd be giving all the different, all these quotes. What's with that? Get in there, get stuck in. Say the quotes. The quotes is cool, yeah? If you're going in there and performing, we can deal with the quotes. We can work with that. I had all of your super fans telling me, hey, YB, he's just super spiritual and all it. It's played out. Nah, he's just different to YB. AJ's just the perfect. He's so perfect and so godly and all this kind of. Wow. Yeah. What's godly about telling your fans you're going to get the KO and go for it? Gas them up. Yeah. Advertise William Hill and then go in there and flop. That's not godly. That's gassing the place up. And I'm bumping, man. I got bumped. 100%. Now, I'm taking responsibility. I bumped myself. But I'm saying, your peoples who believe in you, you ain't even believe in yourself. And it's not like you weren't getting advice. Tony Bellew, Chisora, the YB. Everyone's been telling you the same thing. You don't want to listen. Hard-headed. For some reason, you're caught up in your ego. I want to prove everyone wrong. I want to prove that I am the best boxer. Well, you're not. Oops. You can't be the best at everything. That's just it's a myth. I thought, to be fair, in my naivety and my gasness, I thought AJ potentially could. I thought, I said it before. I said, you know what? And that's why I bet on AJ. I bet, even if it's a boxing match, I back AJ to beat Usyk. I back AJ to beat Fury. I'm looking silly right now, 100%. Super silly, I'm looking. But we now know that's a myth, so we can get rid of that idea now. All you dons in my comment section, why AJ's added so much IQ? And I was there, I was going along with it. Yeah, you're probably right, he does But it's all well and good adding IQ against Ruiz, who was never any good anyway, by the way. And Pulev, who was never any good anyway, and super duper old. Vlad, who has no aggression, smoked, which I've been done saying that. If Vlad can smoke you in the 4th round, we got problems, if you're going 10 rounds. But everyone wanted to ride him. Nah, IB, that's the IQ, you see. People, casuals, who don't know boxing, throw around these terms. IQ. Well, how's the IQ when you're getting popped in the face by a dude half your size? Oops. If AJ had any IQ, yeah, to that kind of level, this fight would have been over with. He had all the advantages. So the IQ ain't there. Yeah? The same holes. I've done videos on it. The same leaky defense. He gets popped straight in his mouth because his guard's too wide. He puts his earmuffs on. Lennox Lewis made a video about this. Lennox Lewis kept getting popped in the mouth, yeah? Manuel Stewart got his guard more in front of his face. Look at Lawrence Okoli. Lawrence Okoli brings his backhand more in front of his face. So you're able to parry the shot more. When you got your earmuff on, straight shots go straight down the middle. That's why, well, part of the reason, Usyk popping him right in his mouth every time. Couldn't miss. And I'm sick of saying the same things now. And I'm sick of no one doing anything about it. I'm sick of hearing about, I've only been doing it 13 years. Well, how many more years does it take to get your guard right? The casuals like myself, I'm a casual. No doubt about that, I'm a casual. But if casual, and that's the thing, I've made critiques that I know are factual. People tell me, YB, YB. How can a man on YouTube think he knows more than Rob McCracken? Rob McCracken, he's been doing he's been doing the Olympic team and he's been training AJ to 3 belts. Oops. You man looking super duper stupid right now. And in fact, where you man at? That's a better question. Where are you man at? All you man telling me I ain't got a clue what I'm talking about. Where you at? Because you ain't gone missing. All I know is, all of a sudden, all the mans that was giving me advice about how much I don't know, all we start hearing is about how much. All I see is a bunch of Usyk fans now. You man, where was all you man at before the fight? Genuinely, where was you at? There wasn't that many of you. All of a sudden, yeah, I knew he was going to do that. He didn't know nothing. None of you man put your betting slips up. I can't stand them ones. If you know something's going to happen, put your betting slips in. Otherwise, it's just talking. We can all say that after the event. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Where are your betting slips? Because there was good odds. If you thought Usyk was easily going to win, you got to think 3-4 times your money back. So where's all these 3-4 times your money back slips at? Oops, there ain't none. Because you're gassing the place up, talking. But anyway, you know what? I ain't even spent much time talking about the arm thing. Because the arm thing is hot air. Now, to be fair to Eddie thankfully didn't double down on it. I think Eddie actually put it out there to Spencer Fearon. For him to take the bullets for it, if that makes sense. Eddie Hearn knew, or in my opinion, Eddie Hearn's not stupid. He knows how to read a crowd. I think Eddie Hearn thought, you know what? I'll tell kind of the alternative media about this arm injury and see how it plays out. Yeah? Put it out to sporting icons. Let's see how the readers get back. Guess what? 99.9 or not, it wasn't, yeah, 99.9% of the man weren't interested, myself included. There was 0.1% of the man, oh yeah, explains now why he lost. Nah, that wasn't it. Yeah, we're not doing that. We done that in the Ruiz 1 fight. So that's played out now. You had the Ruiz 1 fight and you knew, well, there was some allegations you was concussed. Why are you fighting if you're injured? That's another key thing here. Why do that to your fans? Again, why do that to your fans? And better yet, why, if you're injured, not only put the fight on and cause your fans heartache and yourself heartache, why gas your fans up about the KO? That is paradoxical. Unless you're trying to be unless you're trying to be sinister and trying to be Conor McTapper and literally gas people up just to sell pay-per-views, which in my opinion is evil. You shouldn't be talking about KOs if you know your arm's bust, and you shouldn't be fighting. Yeah, and that goes down to Eddie Hearn as well. Eddie Hearn, why? Right, if you're gonna allegedly, if Eddie Hearn told Spencer Fearon that, why is he fighting with popped arm? Why are you putting it on? This is the problem with people's so-called teams. Teams, yeah. I told you before. AJ's alleged management team, yeah. It's not a management team. AJ's alleged promoter. They're not really promoters, and that's why, yeah, there's always costs and benefits to things. For example, in the old days, yeah, there was proper managers. There was proper promoters. Now there's costs and benefits. What I mean by proper managers and proper promoters is that, for example, when Mike Tyson was with, I forgot the guy's name now, but Mike Tyson had these Jim Jacobs and them, man. I believe they were his managers, and maybe they're his promoters as well. But either way, guess what? They more or less owned Mike, took half of his ish, which is obviously bad. But what they did do is manage his career. They had influence on him. They could say, he's injured, he ain't fighting. But these days, because the fighter owns it all, AJ owns his management team. AJ owns his promoter. So, no one can be there to take the executive decision and say, no, you're not fighting. We're not risking it. But then again, Eddie Hearn as the promoter, he could say, you know what, AJ, I'm not going to promote this event, so it's up to you. You can find a new promoter. I'm not going ahead with it. I'm not going to risk it. Or better yet, I don't think it's fair on your fans to make them pay for a subpar product. This, for me, is almost like going to a shop and buying a ripped t-shirt. That's the equivalent. We paid for... Now, of course, every fighter's going to have niggles. We know that. But if we're talking about... If you're injured to the extent that you can't use your number one hand or your big punch, you can't throw your hands properly, what are we doing here? That's not fair. That should be, in my opinion, it's false advertisement. Now, don't get me wrong. If AJ and his team want to put the fight on and give the fans full information, i.e., listen, people, we're going ahead with the fight, but bear in mind, AJ's arm's bust. That's how in fact, I'm not even sure how there's not an I'm not even sure how that's even legal. How is it legal to sell people on something and then really the product's bust? It's almost like insider trading. Insider trading in stocks, yeah. You can't trade a stock based on non-public information. So how I know it's different, but how are these men selling tickets and they got inside info? Well, how are they selling bookies, promoting William Hill, and they know that their arm bust? It's just it's not good. But anyway, I'm not even sure that's the case, because Eddie Hearn in his Monday interview said he kind of walked it back after he kind of cucked Spencer Fearon and cucked Sporting Icons in the comment section. After he give the news out to the alternative media, Eddie Hearn realised no one was trying to buy that. Not even a little bit of anyone was trying to buy it. So obviously he walked it back, saying, yeah, well, you know, AJ's... Of course the fighters have niggles. So that in itself, I think if Eddie Hearn... If it had been that bad, I think Eddie would have gone with it. That's what I think. And also, in fact, the other proof is... I did a video a week before AJ's fight, and AJ was pounding the bag, pounding the heavy bag, left, right, left, right, left, right. So his arm wasn't that bad, was it? Because you'd think he'd be resting it. And that's another thing. If your arm's genuinely hurt, yeah, you'd think his left arm would have been ferocious, and it was the opposite. His jab was one of the worst things going, super slow. That's the slowest I've seen AJ's jab, to be honest. You'd think he'd have been keeping his right arm in tight and just dominating with the left hand, or trying to dominate. That wasn't the case, so we can forget about that. It's a myth. 100% myth. Yeah, no doubt. And for me, yeah, I know I know there's gonna be some super AJ fans who are mad, but guess what? Someone needs to be mad, because if we go along and just act like them, man, like the whole of AJ's team, who's gonna be mad then? Because no one in AJ's team's mad. I saw AJ's goofy management team tweeting, this is high level sport, you win some, you lose some, it's not how you lose, it's how you bounce back. Come on, that's played out, people. Sick of it, I am. The first time, I let everyone off. And yes, I do understand high level sport, you can lose, but that wasn't the issue here. Not the issue at all. That is how you bounce back. This wasn't one of them ones where you put a good shift in and you just got beat by the better man. Yeah, you may have still been beat by the better man, but you ain't put the shift in. In order to say you got beat by the better man, in order to say that's sport, you have to actually put effort in. It's a bit like when Germany in the last, when was it? It must be two World Cups ago. 2 World Cups ago, Brazil, I think, scored, it was like 8-1 or 8-0. Yeah? Germany, guess what? No one from Germany's team put that's just sport out. Do you know why I didn't? Because they felt shame. They thought, you know what? We best not put no Mandela quotes out there, because we respect our fans enough to know no one ain't trying to hear, no one from Germany, yeah, was trying to hear about Nelson Mandela. I'm trying to hear that's the sport, because you didn't turn up even a bit. So respect your fans enough, yeah. AJ should respect his. In fact, in his post-fight interview, and I'm going to cover this, in his post-fight interview, he said things like, "Oh, the fans need to appreciate my performance, and appreciate what? Yeah, the fans need to appreciate that I put a lot of work in, and I don't dispute you put a lot of work in the gym, but working in the gym ain't the same as turning up and putting yourself on the line and committing yourself to the performance. And if I was in AJ's team, yeah, we'd be doing drills for this camp, for this next 6 months. People talk a lot about, it's become a cliche in sport now. The cliche in sport's become, I do visualization. Yeah, but check this. The only visualization AJ needs to be doing for the next 6 months is, he needs to get over the idea that he's going to be in a real tough fight. Get over the idea. He needs to, in my opinion, AJ needs to visualize every day on the ropes with his arms tucked in, getting teed off on. He needs to become comfortable there, and I've been saying it for years now. He needs to become comfortable, because look at all the great fighters, yeah, were comfortable getting teed off on. Holyfield, Ali, all the man. Anyone had comfort in them sort of situations. You have to be. If you ain't going to be one of the greats. You have to be comfortable under fire. Which, by the way, it's not AJ. It's not an AJ isolated problem. This is really a problem of boxing. Why? Because we've got Instagram trainers. When you look at Deontay Wilder, he ain't comfortable under pressure. Simple as that. This is a lost art from the 70s and the 80s. Being comfortable, taking shots and coming back. Floyd Mayweather's really one of the last ones to get it. Floyd could sit on the ropes all day if he wanted to. Where's that gone? Why ain't people got them skills? It's not rocket science. But you must have that comfort. That gives you confidence. You know, listen, worst comes to worst, I can tuck up and I can go all day on the ropes. AJ, what you can see in his performances, he don't have that kind of confidence. He ain't sure. He thinks, I better not get hit once because I'm going to go spark out. He don't have that defensive confidence. He doesn't know if he can hold a shot. He doesn't know he can go down the ropes. He don't know he can tuck up and be safe. He needs to be visualizing a real tough fight. Just get. That's the bottom line. If you want this rematch, get over it. You're going to be in a tough fight. I said it before, I'll say it again. When racing drivers get scared to crash, they need to retire. And I say it same about boxers. If you're scared to get hit, you must retire. And bottom line is, I didn't say it for a long time, but I've been thinking it. AJ is scared to get hit. George Foreman spoke it out, and I'm saying it now. Because it's played out now. I sat there and I beat around the bush. Going in, after the Ruiz rematch, I let people beat around the bush. Well, you know, but really, I was thinking it all along. He's scared to get hit. And now we all know that for a fact. There's no two ways about that. Part of it's his responsibility. Ultimately, the whole buck stops with him. But widely, it's his team. His training team should have nipped it in the bud After the Ruiz performance, good trainers would have noticed, wait there, man, we're going down a bit of a... AJ's looking scary. Anyone who knows anything about boxing can see it. I saw it in the Ruiz 1 performance. He looking nervous for some reason. At that point, he hadn't even been knocked down yet. So it was already just the pure McCrappenness. McCrappen was oozing into AJ. Because Tony Sims left in 2018, I believe. And that next year, that's when the massive deterioration went. He went from a killer to super duper moist, super duper scary. And unfortunately, McCrappen doesn't know what needs to happen. He must move. In my opinion, in the UK, Shane McGuigan's the man. But at this point, I'll take anyone. Anyone gives us a fighting chance. And by the way, people, hate to break it to you, there was a time, this time last week, I'd have told you that AJ 60% on his job will mosh Usyk. Now, AJ's going to need to be 80-90% on his job just to have a chance in this fight. Why? Because look at Usyk versus Joe Joyce. Usyk went toe-to-toe with, yeah, it was a smaller Joyce, but either way, Usyk toe-to-toe Joe Joyce. So we don't even know. We don't even know the capabilities of Usyk on the inside, people. It's all well and good saying AJ going to steamroll him. Well, we don't know that. We didn't even get to see a piece of it. If we had a few rounds to go on, we may have better predictions. But even if AJ fully turns up with optimal game plan, we don't know the levels of Usyk. He hasn't been pushed there yet. AJ didn't even push him there for a round. If AJ had stuck it on him for a round, yeah, we'd have a much better idea of how the fight would go. But because we haven't got no information, all we know is Usyk mollywops Joe Joyce toe-to-toe. So even if AJ goes in there 80-90% on his job with Shane McGuigan, it's still not a cert. Still not a cert. It will depend on how that's my point. That will show how great Usyk really is. That's when we see how great Usyk is. We don't see how great Usyk is with Floppy Don. Yeah? We don't see how great Usyk is with Anthony Mandela. Yeah? We don't see how great Usyk is with Anthony Gandhi. That's what we don't see. No doubt.